side of our organization, but he also sets students forth on all kinds of great pathways. He's got kids who have worked in baseball stadiums like the Trenton Thunder and the Boston Red Sox. He's also prepares students for all kinds of terrific careers and so many different career pathways from this particular uh, class. Just take a look real quick at our list of other programs. If landscaping and horticulture and turf care management is not your cup of tea, please take a look at all of these. Application portal is open now at our website, mcts.edu. Just talk to our guidance counselor and visit that website right there. You can also follow us on all of these different social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and listen to our podcasts as well. And without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our good friend, Mr. Birdsall. Mr. Birdsall, thanks for doing this. Take it away.
No worries. Well, welcome everybody. I just want to say a couple things before we get started. I'm going to look to actually do an oil change and tune-up on a push mower. And I actually have to clean up a carburetor, and I'll get into the reason of why we need to clean a carburetor. But this is actually really good for anybody who has a landscape or lawn maintenance business, but it could be good just for a general homeowner who maybe is coming out into the springtime and they're looking to actually get their mower started and they're troubleshooting why it's not starting. One of the things too that's really important you need to know about carburetors is they are there to supply a perfect mixture of air and fuel to the engine for a mower. Couple things you could do to troubleshoot your mower before you do that. So we're going to go over to the mower. We're going to take a quick look at it, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So basically, we have a Toro push mower here. It's got a Kohler engine on it, and I always, anytime I'm doing small engines, of course, I want to start with the simplest thing first. I mean, I could just have a bad spark plug. That could be the reason why it's not starting. But I have a pretty good reason why it's not starting, and that is actually because this machine hasn't run in almost a year and a half with everything with the pandemic and when we left school. Okay, we have not run this machine for a long time. So I'm pretty sure the gas is bad and it's clogging up the carburetor. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into that. And I'm going to do that first before I do an oil change and tune-up. So I have 7 push mowers here at the shop. And actually out of the 7, 2 aren't running. So I pretty much have a good indication of why they're not. First thing I want to do, actually, I'm going to get into it. It's going to be a little bit lower. I'm going to actually bring this computer down so everybody can see this first, okay? Before I get into, first thing I always do is I take a spark plug out, all right? Whenever I work on a machine, I always want to make sure there's no chance that it can start on me. So I just want to get right in here, and I want to take this out, okay? So this is going to be part of our tune-up anyway, so it's great that we're going to take that out because we're going to end up changing.
We got a little freeze there.
For my internet to come back up. All right.
There he goes.
Yep. So to get to the carburetor, first thing I have to do is I have to take my pull cord assembly off. I'm going to go ahead and do that. I just need to switch over. All right. For most machines, they're going to be a 10 millimeter. All right. I have 3 here that I need to take off. And then once I have them loosened, actually just take them out by hand. Of course, always make sure you're organized when you're, putting your pieces to the side. So this way you have it handy right away when you go to put everything back on. Okay, I'm just going to go real slow. I'm going to pop that off. And I could just set that aside. I can bring that right up to the top here. I'm going to have to put that back on when I'm all done. And then I'm going to pull this cover. All right, now I start getting into the inside of the machine a little bit, okay? Now, one important thing, and I actually already did do this step, you want to make sure that you drain the gas out of here. We need to get that bad gas out of here anyway, all right? So that's already been done. I need to now get to the air filter, and I need to take this off. It's a little dirty. It's not in the greatest shape. I definitely want to go ahead and change that out, all right? So I'm going to put the old one over to the side, leave the cover here. And now I have to take off the cover for the air filter. And again, it's pretty simple because most of the time when you're dealing with these nuts that hold everything together, it's all going to be pretty much 10 millimeters. So I'm in pretty good shape with that. Yep, I'm going to come right back now right here. And should be
look at that. Hey, Mr. Birdsall, while we're stopped, I just wanted to ask you a question about draining out that gas. Yep. Is that something, do you use a pump, or is there a thing on the bottom, like when you're taking the oil out, where it just comes spilling out?
I'll show you that. There's two ways you can take it off. Basically, what I did was, very simple, okay, was I just tilted it over and I ran it into a can. But as I'm taking off my air filter cover, take a look right here, okay? Right here is my fuel line. Right here. This is my fuel line that goes from the tank, and it goes right into the carburetor, okay? So now that I've drained it, and I'm still going to get a little bit of gas that's going to come out. You know, there's still a little bit left in there, all right? Okay. I'm just going to pull this pin back. And now, right here, I can actually pull off
just a little pause there. It's just because there's so much knowledge being drawn.
Back in a minute. Yep, here's the line right here, and that goes right into the carburetor. Now, I have to take off a couple more things, all right? Right here is my automatic choke line, so I'm going to actually have to disconnect that. And that's going to come off right here. And then right here, I have my throttle cable, okay? That's when I pull up on the handle. That's what makes my machine actually turn on and go a little bit faster. There's going to be a spring here. It's pretty simple. It's just 3 disconnects like that. Actually, pull this carburetor right off, just like that now. All right, I got my screws off. And that carburetor comes off just like that. All right. Now, again, like I was saying before, the importance of this carburetor, okay, is to supply a really good mixture of air and gas into the engine. So what happens is there's a couple lines in here that get clogged up. When the gas starts to go really bad, these lines will get gummed up and clogged up, okay? And then the gas can't actually go through the carburetor to get to the engine. So what we have to do is we have to take it apart and we have to clean it. I definitely want to clean the outside. I have some carburetor cleaner here. And when you spray it, you're going to see all the dirt just kind of go away. It just does an amazing job at just cleaning up all the old dirt and getting it cleaned up. Now, when I go through the outside and I wipe it up and I get that pulled apart, I want to go into the inside of the carburetor, okay? Right here is my float bowl. I need to take that off. Okay. And again, I just used a combination wrench. It's a 10 millimeter. And when I pull my float bowl off, okay, right here is my bowl. I want to make sure that this is nice and clean. Make sure there's no dirt at the bottom, okay? I have here, okay, right here, I have my carburetor float. And then I have a pin right in here that actually sits on a spring, and it controls, if you can see this right here, it controls the flow of gas coming in and out of the carburetor. So I'm going to take that off. All I got to do is pull this little connecting rod out. I'm going to put that to the side. And then I can take my float bowl off like that. I got a needle valve right here and a spring. And that just connects right into this line right here. And as it goes up and down, that's what flows the gas and controls the gas coming in and out.
So I'm guessing dirt and backup in there.
Get a flathead screwdriver. Can you guys see this okay?
Perfectly.
You just got to get a flathead screwdriver. And I'm going to show you what we're going to clean really good. And put that to the side. Okay. Right inside, I'm looking at this little pin here, and there's 2 holes that go through. And right now I can't see through to the other side. So that lets me know that this machine might not have been starting because it could have been clogged up.
Ah.
I have another line here that has little holes that supply fuel in and out, and they're really hard to see. They're so tiny. And I definitely want to make sure that this is clean. So I'm going to spray them both with carburetor cleaner. I'm going to go right into this little tiny one right here. And I'm going to spray it until I see it come out the other side. Let's see if you guys can see that. Barely starting to come out now. So it's a little bit clogged up. Okay. I'm going to set that to the side, and I'm going to do the same with this. Go right in there. And then I'm going to go right into the main jet line right here. I want to go into my fuel line right here and spray. And it's great because, like I was telling you, the gas fuel line goes right into here and into the carburetor. And now I can see it now starting to flow out the main jet. So that means it's not clogged anymore. You can see it just flow right through there. Now I'm going to open up the choke and the throttle. First, I'm going to do the choke, and I want to spray inside. Okay, this is my okay, and I'm going to go through the outside a little bit more. And then one more time, I'm going to hit through this main fuel line. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that the needle pin is in working condition. Sometimes you might have to replace this, and we're talking this assembly right here to place the needle pin is about $1.97. It's really inexpensive and pretty easy to get to. Spring's in good shape. I want to clean this a little bit, spray it down, and then all I have to do is reconnect it. Okay, I have my always want to make sure that I have my O-ring around the outside. Make sure that that is connected. I want to make sure that my pin goes right into the line right here. All right, that's where the gas comes in and flows. I'm just going to put that right back in there. Get it right here. We're just going to put it right through here. It takes a little bit of patience. Just go very slow. Don't be in a hurry. The nice thing is that, you know, when your machine's not running, and it's just a simple little thing like pulling the carburetor apart and cleaning out the inside, and you get it running again, you're going to be very happy that you spent that time doing it. Okay, now actually just going to do myself a favor. I want to make sure it's nice and clean. A lot of times what I can do is I can take a piece of like this. I just have actually a bread tie, and I want to see how I run it through the whole side. This way I know that it's open. Okay, you see how it's coming the other side? I have no more clogs in there, so it's nice and flowing. If I don't have that, I can use a piece of floral wire. Is always something really good. And I just want to go in here and clean this up. A lot of times, you want to spend that extra minute or two just making sure that you hit every spot, so you don't go putting it back together and it's still not running. Okay, hit that again. Go ahead and hit that again. It should be flowing through, which it is. And now I can drop that back in to my main line. You always make sure you watch how it comes out so you can put it in the same way. I have my thread going. Take my flathead screwdriver. Just tighten that back up again. One of the other main things you want to make sure is when you get it tight all the way, don't make it Hercules strength. Okay, just get it tight and then just a little bit more. You don't want to over tighten anything and strip anything. Okay. All right, now I can go ahead and I can put my bowl back on, but before I do that, I just want to make sure I wipe that up real nice and clean on the inside. One of the main things a lot of people don't do, and I'm going to show you this, we have another little nut right here. It's 10 millimeter. This is for the end of the year when you go to put your machine away. All right, if you empty your gas tank, some of the gas will still stay in the float bowl. You can actually open this nut here and take any little bit of remaining gas out. So even though you might drain the tank at the end of the year, if you didn't get all the gas out of the float bowl, it could still gum up and you could still have problems. All right. Now we're just going to connect that back together.
Mr. Birdsall, is this something you do on all the equipment that for your landscaping company? You do this with every one of your mowers at the end and beginning of the season?
No, I don't. What happened, Mr. Orff, is at the end of the year, I drain all the gas out of the mower, and then I open this up and make sure there's no gas in the bowl. But what happens every now and then is you have a problem with, say, COVID, pandemic hits.
Yeah.
These machines have not run since I was here last fall. Remember, we left in March last year.
Yes, I do.
The maintenance staff used one of the push mowers, but the other 6 they didn't use. So they've been sitting for over a year. So what happens is gas starts to break down and it goes bad. So when gas sits in a mower for that long, it becomes, instead of a gas, it actually starts to smell like a paint primer, kind of.
Okay.
And it starts to go bad. And then what happens is it gets thick, and they call it gels up inside. And then the gas can't flow through anymore because it's either got dirt in it or your lines have gelled up on you and they're clogged. So when your mower's been sitting for a long time, or maybe, I don't know, let's say, grandma and grandpa haven't used their mowers in a couple of years, and take it out of the garage. Well, it might have had gas in it. It just needs to be cleaned out, and that's all. Okay. You don't
always have to do all that.
No. But here's the thing: a lot of people will go to start their mower in April and it won't start, and it's because it hasn't run since November and there's been fuel sitting over the winter. It's one of the most common reasons why your mower won't start. All right, it's just a clogged up and dirty carburetor. It's pretty simple.
Gotcha.
All right, so this is something that is fairly basic in small engine repair. And if everybody could at least get through the spark plug, the oil change, the tune-up, blade sharpening, and cleaning the carburetor, they could save themselves a lot of money in actually really small repairs. Okay. All right. So now that we have this all back together, I want to make sure that everything looks good. All right. I got my throttle. All right. See how my throttle valve opens and closes. Everything's good with that. I have my intake valve open and closed. I'm going to spray a little bit of carburetor cleaner in both of those again, just to make sure you get any dirt out of there. Okay. Then we'll kind of go through it. We can talk about the reasons why they work and what it exactly does for the machine. But now we're ready to go hook this back up before we do our oil change and our tune-up. All right. So we're going to just go right back. Make sure this isn't leaking before I grab the computer and bring everybody back. Go ahead back. But yeah, to answer your question, Mr. Orff, no, this doesn't have to be done. But again, and I'm going to tell everybody a little secret too. All right. If you come out and your machine won't start come April, and you noticed you left
some fuel in there, I think he's going to say, if you had some gas in the line, is what I'm guessing. Then this is a great troubleshoot. Yeah, I'll ask Mr. Birdsall.
Put this back on. We got to make sure that we're gonna connect our choke. We got to make sure that we connect our, again, this is our choke.
Sounds like you were about to say, if you notice you left some gas in here, this
you notice you left gas in, and April comes and you can't start your mower, before you go pulling the carburetor off, maybe try and get some high octane fuel. Empty the gas tank. Go out and buy some super gas. Okay, just buy the Supreme and run that and see if that'll work. Sometimes that'll actually clean out the carburetor a little bit better than regular gas will. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Okay. If you have to, then you have to get to this part where you're taking it apart. Okay. So we just hooked back up our choke. All right. This is an automatic choke system. All right. This is right here is a great thing for you to learn. When this is closed, it's going to allow more fuel to get into the carburetor, because you want more fuel when you first go to start your mower when it's cold in the morning. And then when you hit the throttle and you go to move, this opens up. And then you have a perfect amount of air going through with the fuel. They meet together and they go on to the 4-stroke engine, all right, on the inside. So After you hook that up, now we got to make sure that we hook up our throttle cable right here. And we put that in. And then we got a small pin right here for the spring. Through. And that is in. Okay. We'll make sure our gasket, that we don't lose our paper gasket right here. Make sure we have that. We can hook our fuel line back up. Okay, there's our fuel line running. Okay. I'm going to go ahead, make sure I clamp that down so it's nice and secure. Okay. And now I'm ready to put my cover back on for my air filter. And then I do believe I said I was going to do a new air filter.
You got one? You got one handy?
Absolutely, I do. I have this, guys. These are things that we order for our shop, and we make sure we have around every now and again. You never know. We have a couple on supply, and I'll show you the difference between a new air filter and an old air filter. See the difference. And the old air filter is not that bad, but you know what? I want it nice and clean, being that this mower wasn't running. Right? And again, everybody, really important. All right, I'm going to tighten this up. It's really important.
I have a question also when we come back. I'm going to ask him about air filters because.
Now that's what I want. All right. So here we got a new air filter, and I'll show you the difference.
Mr. Birdsall, when I go to Jiffy Lube, they always tell me to replace my air filter. Do I really need to do that on my car? I know it's a different piece of equipment.
Absolutely, absolutely. If anything, probably even more important on a car. But it's the same thing with a mower. You don't want any dirt and debris. And you know, the reason why it's so important, Mr. Orff, to constantly change your air filter on a mower. Think about where your machine's always working. It's always working around dust, grass, debris.
Yeah.
And you want to protect it as much as you can from anything getting into that mower's engine. It's just a little bit more protection. All right, so we have that. We got a new air filter in there. All right, so that part of the oil change and tune-up's done. We cleaned our carburetor. We put that back on there. Now, watch till you guys see how easy this is to do an oil change on this machine. You know, years ago, machines, what they used to do is they used to put a drain plug under there, almost like a car, and we would go underneath and we would take that drain plug. But most push mowers today are just a simple tip over. Most of them don't have a drain plug today. We have an oil drain pan here. Okay. We're just going to tilt this over. On this too. And we're just going to allow all that old oil to flow out. Now, usually when I do an oil change, just so you understand, I usually run my machine for a minute or two. But being that I took the carburetor off first and cleaned that, I'm going to go ahead and change the oil. Okay?
How often should I be changing my oil on my mower at home? I got one.
Well, I'm going to give you exactly what it is. A homeowner should definitely change it every year. Even twice a year is a good thing. But for most commercial machines, like my big riders in shop and everything that I'm teaching the kids to do for commercial business or for what you see township crews use, those are recommended that you change the machines every 100 hours of machines use. So like a car could be 3,000, 5,000, 10,000 miles. Most of them, like Skag, Bobcat, they all recommend you do it every 100 hours of machines use.
Okay. Wow.
So it's the same kind of, theory as a car. Every so often you have to change it. Actually, to tell you the truth, you probably change it a lot more with mowers than you do with cars. When you think about, a landscape or lawn maintenance service using their machine for, say a 40-hour work week.
Yes.
You'd be changing your oil every 3-4 weeks, easy. Okay, but you want to keep them running. These. Putting a new air filter in, I clean the carburetor. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put some new motor oil in. All right, this machine, and if you don't know, you could always check your owner's manual. It'll tell you exactly what kind of oil to put in. We're putting in 10W30. And on a push mower, pretty much every time It's not going to take a full quart. It's going to take about 3/4 of a quart. Okay? Every mower takes a different amount of oil. All right, all push mowers are pretty much the same. They're about 3/4 of a quart of oil. All right, and I want to look down right to my bottom right there. I'm perfect. I'm going to check my oil because you don't ever want to put too much oil in. You actually create more problems having more oil than less oil. It's constantly important to maintain a really good oil level on your machines. Hang around there real good. Check it. It's going to be really hard for everybody to see. Just give you a little bit of a thing with checking oil. Okay. Whenever I pull this out, I don't want to hold my dipstick down like that, or I don't want to hold it back up like that. I want to hold it level. Okay. And the reason being is because, and this is even if you have a car. Okay. I want to hold it level because now the oil can't run down and look like it's too much, or it can't run this way and look like there's not enough. I'm right at the perfect level right here. There's a second hole right there, so I'm in good shape. I'm going to go ahead and put that back in.
Mr. Birdsall, you did all that in less than a half an hour.
I'm not done yet.
No, but that's a lot to do already. That's very impressive so far.
I'm not done yet. I got a couple minutes. The kids, you know, when they start to do it, listen, it's like anything you do. When you do it for a long time, you start to get a little bit better at it. And I'm going to be honest with you. All right, I'm going to put the spark plug back in. The one thing we haven't done was we haven't sharpened the blade. So we might have to come back on another class with blade sharpening. Very careful when I put the spark plug in, everybody, because I do not want to strip the threads on this. It's very important.
Okay.
I just take my time putting the spark plug back in. And yeah, Mr. Orff, you know, to your point, you know, the more you do things, the better you get at it.
Yes. So a kiddo coming into your class, a student coming into your class is not going to do this first day. This takes time and steps and practice.
I'm happy when they do this. I'm happy if they can get. Okay. Make sure, very important, not the oil change your tune up, just that part. Make sure that you don't over tighten the spark plug when you put it back in. Just get it snug and then turn about a quarter turn. I'm going to go ahead and put that back on. And now I'm going to go ahead and put the cover back on and see if this fires up.
Oh boy. This is exciting.
One more like this. I mean, they're all running pretty good. I mean, they were all running, but just two of them just didn't want to seem to run. All right, now I'm going back to my 10 millimeter like I was in the beginning. Okay. I just want to clean my cover off just a little bit. Go ahead and put that back on. Okay. I could take my full cord assembly. You know, we could do a class just on what happens when your cord comes off. Very easy thing to fix. Okay. And again, right to my side. Got my I'm just going to tighten these up real quick. And again, if you guys see, sometimes when I'm doing things hand tight, I don't use the ratchet until I need to really, you know, some strength. Once you get everything loose, you can do it with your extension and your socket very easily. And that's what I was saying. Hold on one second, everybody. And I just got this one that's being a little bit of a pain.
So, Mr. Birdsall, Casper's in here watching. He said he wants to come back and he misses cutting the grass.
Casper, let me tell you something, and this is one that I will never lie about. Casper is a teacher's dream when it comes to mechanics. He is probably at his age, if not more, as mechanical than me, if not more. I mean, amazing young man as far as mechanics, but would love to have him back anytime.
Casper, we miss you. If you can hear me, we miss you, buddy. Come back and see us.
He actually, just in case everybody wants to know, I'll give you a perfect example. I'll go ahead. I'm not going to give a shout out to the company, okay? But he is actually working as a mechanic in a bike shop right now.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup to the side, and now's the moment of truth. And like I said, we were pretty fortunate that I didn't have to clean all 7 carburetors on our push mowers. Only 2 of them weren't firing up, and that's actually pretty good. So
good luck, Mr. B. I got my fingers crossed.
I'm about to do it right now, so we're going to find out.
We have every confidence.
Uh-oh. Now I was going to go start it and find out why it wasn't working. I forgot to put fuel in it. Can't start a motor without gas. And listen, when I said to everybody the most important thing to do is to check for spark and check your spark plug. The other thing that's really important, a little slow right here, is to make sure you have fuel. A lot of times you can go to start your mower and it's not running because you don't have gas. I think that the best.
You need Miss Schmidt there to hold the cone up.
Let me put this back on. Let's see what we got here. Not too bad. I think the only thing else that I got to do now is actually take the blade off and sharpen the blades. No. All right. So I think that wraps it up for today. Anybody has any questions, let me know.
Yeah. Questions, Mr. S, if you see any questions in the chat, go ahead, but I'll ask Mr. Birdsall a couple on my own just for a moment here. So I know that what you just did there and the small engine repair in general is just one aspect of your class.
Sure.
Is that right? Is that right, Mr. Birdsall? Can you tell me like a couple of other things that students can expect to do or learn over the course of a couple of years with you?
Well, when we're back, they're going to learn to work hands-on. But how I run the business is exactly like you'll see from a lawn and landscape company. Okay. In the fall, we are hard on working on turf. And like you were saying before, a student that worked with the Trenton Thunder and then Boston Red Sox, he's actually the second superintendent of 3 Mercer County golf courses. So he's got a really great knowledge in turf, understanding proper irrigation, proper mowing, proper fertilization. So it gets into a little bit of science, a little bit of chemistry. We do soil samples. We study dirt, what's in it. And we prepare for a turf competition through FFA. We are the first and only FFA chapter in Mercer County. Then when we get out of our turf section in the fall, we actually go right into small engines. So we came out of this section already. After small engines, we get into doing hardscaping with learning how to build patios, basic patio installation, basic retaining wall installation, and then it goes into a little bit of floriculture after that. We actually do flower design, just like you would see at a nursery or like a flower shop. I have a couple students actually currently working at a couple local grocery stores in the floral department. And then when spring comes around, we actually grow our own vegetables here. We grow our own flowers here. We have a greenhouse out back. So we learn a lot about the nursery environment. Just something like you would see at Timothy's Garden Center in Robbinsville. It's a perfect example. Gotcha. And then the other thing that we do as soon as landscape happens and the spring happens, that is when we're doing everything. We're learning how to mulch. We're learning how to measure for material. We're learning how to do proposals. We're learning how to plant plants. We're learning how to prune plants. Everything you'll see with lawn maintenance. And then we're getting on the machines and we're still doing our turf stuff too. So that never ends. But, you know, we're learning hands-on assignments through the whole season, just like you would see a lawn and landscape company do.
Outstanding. I can't wait to come in there and smell the fresh cut grass and see all the great stuff you're doing with our kids.
Well, April 19th, we'll be back. And then hopefully, like we had talked about, we'll be shooting a video working with Amy Rico at Mercer Community College. She's going to do a design for the students on the front with her students. Yeah. They're going to do the design. my kids are going to price out the job, and hopefully we're going to be doing a landscape project with all plants, new design in front of a building at the SciPec Center.
So such a great other aspect of your program, and I know you mentioned it already, but just the whole business end of things. Like if you have any kind of a business mind at all, there is a ton of money to be made.
Yeah, there's a ton of money, but where I see a lot of my students go, and which is a fantastic. Like right now, I'm trying to fill a job. We need workers. There's a job available, and I'm talking to a couple graduates working for the state at Monmouth Battlefield doing lawn cutting and landscape, exactly what we train for here. We have a couple students that graduated from Hopewell working for Pennington Township, a student with Lawrenceville Township. We have 2 students over at Mercer County Park. But what those jobs entail is you get pension, benefits, retirement, and a really good salary. I think people will be surprised the salary that kids are starting out of. I've talked to a few counselors, and they're like, wow, that's as much as kids coming out of college. I said, exactly.
Yeah, but with a lot less debt.
And then you take a couple of college classes, and the next thing you know, 15, 20 years down the road, you're the one running the township as far as the grounds and the landscaping and maintenance. So
I love it. That's great. Mr. Birdsall, I can't thank you enough for this demonstration and for the class. I'd also like to just tell students, if you are interested in this class or any others, go to that website, mcts.edu. Check us out on all of our different social media platforms. As I said before, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Check out our YouTube channel. If a friend of yours wanted to see this today and they missed it, they can see it there. We'll post it there in a day or two. Plus a whole bunch of other great videos from our teachers, staff, and lots of student content on there as well. MCTS Experience, as well as the Principal's Office, 2 podcasts that our staff puts out. All of this and more can be found on our website, mcts.edu, where you can apply for Mr. Birdsall's Horticulture and Turf Care Management class and all of these other great programs. We look forward to seeing all of you in the near future and at the start of school next year in September. So until then, on behalf of myself and Mr. Birdsall and our man behind the boards, Mr. Sikowski, I would just like to say thank you and come back and see us very, very soon. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks, Mr. Birdsall.
no worries. Take care, guys. Have a great day.